You're listening to episode 120, How to Be Present, Not Perfect. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy you're here today. We are here for a 12-minute talk with two co-founders of Present Not Perfect. And they both have backgrounds in counseling and special education and all of the good things. And what they've done is basically created products that make it easy for you to connect with your child. But I wanted to interview them and just kind of learn about their process. And I really struggle with finding meaningful interactions and times. Like I feel like when I'm finally with my kids, I'm really tired. So what's a quick way I can connect with them and actually teach them something? And I 100% believe in the power of this product. But then I actually tried it yesterday. So they had given me this like little dinosaur digger type things. And I had been not having trouble, because I'm not going to say this is a troubled part. This is just a part of development. But just one of my kiddos is having some problems with a little bit of anger and knowing what to do with it. And I feel like we've tried a bunch of coping skills, coping tools. I feel like we're not getting anywhere. And then we start playing, and then suddenly he's getting somewhere. And I'm asking him these questions that are on this little sheet. And, you know, it's nothing that I haven't done before, but for some reason, connecting what they had created in this little play session with the words that I was asking really got us to a point where I understood that he is hearing what I'm saying. He's just not always able to implement it. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but I wanted to say that the products they're creating, these little coping kits, these calming kits, are incredibly helpful. And I'm just so excited to share a little bit about their process with you today. Before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you guys know that if you are a parent, a child life specialist, or professional working with children, you're going to want the hospital or physician's office or urgent care that you take your kids to have the Child Life On-Call app. It is an evidence-based tool designed to empower children and families during medical experiences. And 100% of the child life specialists who have used this app believe that it can help with expanding child life's reach beyond the bedside. And 100% of child life specialists believe it helps parents feel more empowered in their child's care. Learn how to get the Child Life On-Call app for your facility or doctor's office by going to childlifeoncall.com/partners.
Hi, I'm Abbie, Pabon, and I am a teacher in elementary school. I'm certified elementary special education teacher. I've taught all different grades over the years. I actually started at the high school level and then moved. My niche is probably more elementary school aged children, ages typically first grade through fourth grade was where I spent most of my time. And I am a mom of two. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, both daughters. And my husband and I live just outside of Madison, Wisconsin.
And Emily, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
My name is Emily Enstad. I'm a mom of two, expecting a third in September, 3 boys. But I'm also a licensed professional counselor and a registered art therapist. So I've worked in community-based mental health, large behavioral health centers, and most recently in my own private practice. Started this new company, Present Not Perfect, with Abbie just last year.
Yeah, I would love to talk a little bit about just the need you saw with parents and probably just so similarly in your own life, just trying to find ways to connect, and just like your business is called Present Over Perfect, and how you're facilitating that for families.
The idea for the business really did stem from our own personal experiences as mothers, and we both welcomed newborns in 2020. My second was born like the day the pandemic really hit Wisconsin, and both of us were struggling to find resources and hands-on activities that we felt like were relevant for things we were personally going through on our own mental health journeys, that we also wanted to support like our children's emotional development in the same ways we were looking to support our own. Mm-hmm. And so we've been friends for a long time. We've been friends since high school. So we reconnected through motherhood and through having newborns in the pandemic. And this idea of present, not perfect, came to be just combining both of our professional backgrounds together to see what resources we could come up with to help prevent barriers.
That bonding experience of having newborns during a pandemic is like, it's just insane. There's not a lot of people who can say they went through that. So it's nice that you guys have each other.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
And, with the pandemic, there really is a lot about the next wave of this pandemic being mental health. And we really feel that, just as being a therapist and working with other therapists, I know like wait lists are so long, especially if you have kids, to find, a therapist who specializes in maybe using creative ways like art or play. There's just not a lot of availability out there. And so we really saw the need for parents to not only have, a helpful, engaging, screen-free activity at home, but being able to take more of a proactive lead on, being able to teach these skills in a way that is fun, creative, and really clicks for both parent and child.
Oh, absolutely. And ultimately, and I find this in the hospital too, it's like we're really teaching the parent. The therapist is there for an hour, and it's how can we empower these parents to keep this going? So it sounds like you're kind of not cutting out the need for the middleman, but just kind of expanding options during that waiting period, if that's something you're seeking.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
What have you found to be the biggest barriers for parents these days in terms of like actually, just getting the energy, I hate to say it, but just to even get on the floor and play?
I think especially in the pandemic, when things, especially in the beginning, when limited resources, so much of us were like parenting on an island or, like parenting in isolation, which I don't think we're intended to do. Like as humans, we're meant to be like, it takes a village mentality more so when we're raising kids, and that pressure and barrier to feel like you have to do it all and be all the things all the time is like not realistic, or I guess for me personally, just speaking from my personal experience, like it was really draining to feel like I had to be all the different roles all of the time. And that was a huge barrier for me. And that's why I think thinking about different resources that we could access was a huge motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I would add, our kits are, yes, intended to be played alongside, being able to connect and co-regulate together. And yet we also really understand the need as parents ourselves for like sometimes giving a child an activity so that you can maybe cook a meal or take a breather or take a shower. We really try to balance that self-compassion and kind of spectrum of, what you need on a given day as a parent, and how, this product and our kit can help support that. We're really big on self-compassion, and we feel like that's like such a helpful tool in reducing the barriers to engaging or to taking a break.
Yeah, I love that. And it's, as you were talking, it just really made me think, just about all these different roles that we have to play as parents. And all our kids really want is just for us to show up. And like, sure, we're showing up in our role as mom, but like, it actually doesn't require a whole lot other than just being and existing next to them and listening. And sure, if you kind of have a goal to accomplish, like teaching positive coping skills or co-regulation or whatever your goal may be, like you yourself are just showing up and so it kind of takes off like all the other hats you have to wear. Like it's not work, it's not even your husband or your wife or whomever that you owe something to. It's your kids. They just want you.
That was like a huge eye opener for me in motherhood, just coming from education and like not, I don't want to say I thought I had it all figured out, but my work was children, and I was with kids every day, all day, since like as far back as I can remember. And motherhood was just like really threw me for a loop. Like, you know, I had never experienced like what you just described with the tantrums. You know, working in my profession, I had experienced that, but not in a role as a parent. And so it hits different when it's your
hit
own
different
child, as opposed to, you know, my past students. And that really surprised me. I did not expect that in motherhood, and that kind of is what set me on this journey of like even just talking to Emily about therapeutic like concepts and emotional literacy skills, because it starts with us, you know, as the parent, and we can't teach it in isolation or only teach it to our kids if we're not really practicing it ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah. Emily, have you felt that way too?
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel like, you know, for me, I totally get caught up in, you know, what could I have done differently, or am I doing enough? All like that mental chatter that really takes me away from being just present in the moment with my kids, and kind of just like over analyzing things and, you know, all the stuff that we tend to do as mothers. So it's been, a big work on my own to have that compassion for myself and to remember what I preach to my clients and the parents I work with, that it doesn't have to be perfect. And exactly what you said, that repairing after is just more important. You know, ultimately we can just be good enough, and we don't have to be perfect to have that strong connection and attachment with our kids.
That's just so validating to hear, because also I feel like, kind of having this background of child life, I feel like my son should be acting better than this. You know, like we work on this stuff. He knows how to take a deep breath and what our plan is. And sometimes it still just doesn't work, right? Because we're not robots.
Yeah, exactly. We're all
and emotions just come up.
Yep, we're all only human. Yeah.
And that's been like the biggest, I feel like, layer to our business, is adding that piece of self-compassion for the parents. Because like, yes, we can know all this stuff, we can know all the emotional literacy skills to teach, but if we don't have kindness and compassion for ourselves when things hit the fan, it's gonna just not be as effective.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. If you are looking for a way to make a child in your life smile, then you have to go to smilemakers.com and go through all of the must-have toys, stickers, and prizes for kids. You'll find everything you need to make the hospital, waiting room, or even your own living room more fun with games, crafts, and prizes for every occasion. I'm personally so excited for the winter holiday decor and fun prizes. I love a good sensory toy or a squeezy ball that's got a good theme to it. I also have very good news for you, because when you go to smilemakers.com and type in OnCall20, you will get 20% off with no minimum order required. So stock up on bundles made specifically for hospital procedures and therapeutic play, and make these already very affordable items more affordable with OnCall20. That's smilemakers.com and OnCall20 for 20% off your entire order. I would love to hear like one of your favorites. I know you have kits that you send out. What's your favorite kit, and what's the feedback you get from parents that you really find like, oh, this is our favorite one, we go back to this one a lot, or this one helped us the most?
Like I would say our unicorn self-worth theme, and then like our dinos big feelings. Those are really like two really popular ones right now. I feel like my personal favorite though is the ocean kit.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I mean, for me personally, just growing up, I've always been like super connected with water, like swimming in lakes. Growing up on a swim team, I really just can connect with like the metaphors with water being like calming and waves and all that stuff. So our emotion kit for me really clicks, and it's all about, you know, using the metaphor of riding waves of your emotions and knowing that they're always going to come back to calm, and you know that they can be ever changing like the ocean.
That is what I was going to say. Was my favorite kit is our ocean kit, and similarly I also connect to water, but in my own like inner journey of like inner work. I call myself a recovering perfectionist, which is, I think, why a lot of why we named the business what we did. And just the concept that like all emotions don't need to be tied up with like a pretty bow at the end, and like every problem doesn't need to have like an immediate solution. Like that has been a huge learning journey for me personally. And just as we see in our kids when they have those big feelings, like validating those and allowing them to sit with them, even the uncomfy ones, is like a process I'm on as well. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more with like both of those. They're such important lessons to teach. And you guys have taken the hard part out of like me trying to figure it out and going to get the materials and, figure out how to teach that. And you've just put it in our laps, which is really great. And I would love to hear, I think you guys had talked about, just as we connected before this interview, about a parent who had gotten one of these in the hospitals and what their experience was like. If one of you want to speak to that.
Yeah, definitely. We started selling the kits. We call them Calm Kits last fall, and we had started doing them at a few farmers markets, just having a table to gauge interest and collect market research and things like that. And one older woman stopped by the booth one day and just shared a story with me that really left me speechless. And when I shared it with Emily too, we were really amazed at just the impact that one of the kits had on a family. And so she had bought some of the kits a few weeks prior to gift to, I believe she said, a neighbor. And unfortunately, this child had been admitted into Children's Hospital here in Wisconsin shortly after she purchased the gift, and was dealing with some complications, was there for quite a while. And so she mailed the kits to them at the hospital. And when she was telling me the story, and she said that she heard from the parents a few days after they received it that the child basically like started getting better and like really turned a corner and was healing, and they felt like the kit was a huge part of that. And she shared some pictures with me of him playing with it in his hospital bed, and I was honestly just like really like, holy cow, this is it. Like I believed in the power of like what we're doing and the power of play and all of those things. But just hearing that story was very moving and impactful, just knowing that brought like healing, not only joy and connection and regulation for that family, but also like healing in their journey too, was just amazing to hear.
And it was really cool too, because the kit that they had purchased for him was our construction kit, all about perseverance. And it talks about, being able to do hard things and like really digging into that discomfort and like working with other people to help you in those moments, like your team. And so I think a lot of that just really connected to his experience too.
Yeah.
Besides, like, of course, the powerful sensory elements that we included in that kit.
Cool. And when you get to, cool. I mean, just the level of, you being at the farmer's market, this woman buying it, her having a neighbor, it getting to, I mean, it's just like all the pieces fell into place.
Oh.
And, I want to speak a little bit to that. Like I have the honor of getting to see play really transform kids from as big of a deal as like getting discharged a day early, or figuring out how to take medicine because they learned how to play when they did it, and just the power of that. And also, when kids are really sick in the hospital and parents don't feel like their kid is up to doing something, or they're really sleepy, and sometimes we found that even just playing for your child, playing next to them, like modeling what their world could be or look like, and the parent actually doing or interacting through play next to their child as they watch is really therapeutic too.
Our regulation is a part of this too. That's the whole point of like the kits as well. It's, yes, they're for children, but honestly, like my husband and I know Emily and her husband as well, like we sit and play with them too, and we find benefits as well. Like I'm playing with some sensory sand right now as we're talking. Like it's very therapeutic, I think, for all ages.
Since you brought up your husbands, how has it been for them using your tools and your kids?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I feel like my husband uses them in a different way that I do, but it's still like really effective way. Like he'll bring them out, especially when there's some chaos, with 2 toddlers in the home. I mean, I just got back from a weekend away, so I know he was using them. He'll really use them as like a helpful way to kind of like re-regulate the house, kind of focus attention maybe away from something that is less desirable and kind of bring out the sensory play. And he does notice that it does calm kind of both boys down and himself down when they're playing with it. So I think that's been cool for him to see like, wow, this actually really is helpful and it works.
Yeah. My husband, same, I think very similar. He constantly tells me, wow, I really wish I had this when I was a kid. So yeah, they're both very supportive of what we're doing.
So how can we get online and get your kits and get them delivered to us and the price and all that good stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Well, our website, you can find us at presentnotperfectllc.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, where you can shop via that app now. That's a new feature that they have. And our handle is present_not perfect_. So unfortunately, present not perfect is taken by someone else. So that's where you can find us. And we currently have 9 themes in our emotional literacy line. Those are year-round themes that you can shop all 9 themes. And then we release seasonal offerings 4 times a year as well, that kind of go along with spring, summer, fall, and winter.
That's so great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk and talk to your community. We're excited to be a part of your podcast.